Hello everyone. Today I'll discuss the importance of inclusion in early childhood education and care setting. In this presentation, I'll explain why inclusive education is essential, how legislation protects child's right, the practical strategy educator can use to support the children with the diverse developmental and the need of educational. Let me define the definition of the inclusion means the putting the children with all disability into mainstream classroom. Instead, it need to involve creating environment where each child should feel valued, respected, and able to participate in genuine learning experience. Let's move on to the slide 2. What are the benefits of inclusive education? Inclusive of young children in early childhood education is a good thing because regardless of their disability, developmental difference, culture, language, or behavioral needs, they can access the learning. And the recent study has mentioned that they feel more visible to the classroom if they are not if they are feel inclusive. Um, this requires educator to purposefully construct the learning setting in which learning experience are thoughtfully framed for to identify and the participation. Inclusive education understands that children is normal and valuable, not just the children to fit one standard approach. Educators use teaching technique to help their strength and needs. Importantly, inclusive doesn't mean uh, does not just challenge the deficient views of disability. It instead of worrying about what children cannot do, inclusive rather look at children's strength and their potential. Inclusive school can help every child, not just the children with disability. Reported suggest that these children it will enhance their social, developmental, emotional well-being, communication skill, and the peer interaction. When children with the extra care needed accepted and supported in such a classroom, they are willing to grow with a confident participation. Further, as a typical development, peering also benefit gain empathy, corporations, and their respective for differences. But the inclusion doesn't guarantee they will get a success. That's why they need very intentional teaching collaborative relationship educator as an academic option for any kind. It is necessary to fostering equality, participations, and the social justice in early childhood care. So legislation and the children rights in Australia, they have enhances the inclusion in very widely, and the legislation and the values moral guidelines underpinning it. So the United Nations Convention on the Right of the Child state that all children are allowed to education, participate and protection against discrimination. And the Disability Discrimination Act 1992 guarantee that children with disability have equal access to education and care. And the National Equality Framework and Early Learning Framework version 2 also focuses on equity, diversity, belonging. So the inclusion doesn't goes beyond the policy complaints. This is about defending the right of children, ensuring that every child, um, every child has opportunity to meaningfully participate in society. It is a way of saying that children educator can be both teachers and be a champion and justice and work for their fairness, dignity, and opportunity for all children. Let's move on to the slide 4. Inclusive environmental practices. What are the strategies? So the inclusive environment reduces the barrier to participation and support children individual needs. Effective strategy include sensory-friendly spaces, quiet corners, adaptive furniture, visual schedule, accessible resources, and the flexible routines. For example, children with autism spectrum or disorder may experience sensory overload in noisy and unpredictable environment. Educator can support these children by providing quiet sensory space, visual timetables, and predictable transition throughout the day. So the research done by Novak and Honan 2020 found that sensory responsive classroom view environment significantly improve the children's emotions, regulation, and engagement during the learning experience. So the responsive technique strategy, uh, there are so many techniques that we can use. So the inclusive interaction practice are concerned primarily with the way of communicating which educator to the children in practice. Responsive teaching depend on the educator customizing learning experience to children's strength, interest, and the developmental needs. For example, augmented and alternative communication strategies such as visual card, the communication board, and the gesture can be helpful for children with communication difficulties. The idea has support the children in expressing themselves, participating more confidently in the social interaction. Educator can give the help by giving simple but just instructions or modeling behavior or fostering collaborative peer play. So the relationship between the teacher and the child shows the impact and inclusion outcome across a multiple discipline. So the educator can shows the warmth, responsive, and emotions support. It will really motivate children to get engaged and feel safe. So the inclusive practice relies on more than just the places. It also relationship between the respectful and the responsive. So the what are the challenges into the inclusions? There are many challenges which impact in early childhood setting even though inclusion is openly promoted. Those challenges are limited professional training, insufficient funding, staff shortages, and overworkloaded for educators. To have more productive outcome from the inclusions policy require working on a reflection, active engage with the family, and providing professional training. Educator must pay the attention to their attitude, assumption, and the teaching practices to ensure all children feel genuinely included. So the lastly, it's let's move on to the conclusion. In in conclusion, inclusive education is necessary to enhance equality, engagement, and belonging for children in early childhood settings. Effective inclusion is not just a physical placement, but it also requires intentional environmental and interactional practice which supported by legislation, research, and ethical responsive responsibility. Sorry. As a future, as myself, future child educator, we play a crucial role in speaking for children's rights and creating an inclusive learning environment where where every children feels safe, valued, and included. Thank you.